Okay, today we are going to discuss the book by the author. Her name is Sheila Sterling, and the name of her book is From Homeless to Homeowner. From Homeless to Homeowner While Surviving Toxic Relationships. And so we just want to welcome Sheila here today. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to actually be featured for your group. I'm excited um, to hear the questions that some may have. So yeah, I'm excited. Thank you for the invite.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I just want to let everyone know that I have been knowing Sheila since I was a young child.
Yes.
We've been knowing each other for years. So I just want you to start by just telling us a little bit about yourself, what you do, who you are, so everybody will know.
Well, first of all, I am a mother of three. I have how old is she? 36, 32, and now I have a 15-year-old. Um, I work as a dean of discipline with Chicago Public Schools. I've been with Chicago Public Schools for 25 years. I am the author of From Homeless to Homeowner While Surviving Toxic Relationships, which we will get into that. It's a whole lot going on. I told people when I released the book, it is not for the super saints because there's a whole lot of licking and sticking in the book. So, but yeah, I am a member of the Order of the Eastern Star. Um, I do a lot of charity work. I'm a big giver. So I'm constantly out, finding ways to give, finding ways to help, finding ways to, make people's lives a little bit easy because I know what it's like to be homeless. So that's me.
All right, all right. I just want to also let everyone know that the reason I chose this book for this particular month is because this is National Hunger and Homeless Awareness Week. It starts November 18th until the 26th. So I just want to let everybody know that. Um, so I want to start off with asking the question. I want to give a quick recap of the book, and so we can move a little fast forward to where we're trying to go. So you was dating a guy named Anthony. You went on a family vacation. Anthony pursued you. Y'all talked. Y'all started making commutes back and forward. He makes the relationship official at some point, and then he proposes. You all get married. You find out that your new home was a hotel.
Yes.
So my question is, what went through your mind at that exact moment?
What the
Go
hell
ahead.
is this? I promise you. I promise you. I got there and I was like, wait, this is not it. I mean, and mind you, I had two children with me. So we stayed in this place called the Microtel, and it was Microtel. The kids had to sleep in the windowsill. The windowsill was like a little sitting place, but yeah. So it was quite interesting.
Okay, okay. Anybody else? You have a question? Drop right in.
I have a question. So before you got married, when the young lady said, "No, he's mine," did you not have any like, okay, before you even pursued him, when she was like, "No, he's mine," was that not like an indicator that he had other women in his life, or how can I say he had girlfriends who didn't want to be? You know how sometimes you have exes who don't want to. They don't think the relationship is over. They think it's still going. But did you have that in your mind or something like that, or you just said she was just talking and I'm the winner?
Well, I didn't think anything of it when it happened
Okay.
because I knew that he was pursuing me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he did it in front of her. So it
Mm-hmm.
didn't, it didn't resonate that, hey, it might be something going on with this.
Mm-hmm.
Even with coming back and forth to Chicago because
Mm-hmm.
he was in Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
So even when I went down to visit, it was still me and him. She was nowhere around. So, plus I knew her.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like it was somebody I didn't know. I knew her.
Oh wow.
She was the sister-in-law to my cousin.
Mhm.
So she was always around. So if it was anything going on between them, I never saw it.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay, anybody else have any questions? Anybody else? Because I have a lot. Okay. All right. So my next question is, do you think women as a whole move a little bit too fast when we meet someone that we're interested in or that's interested in us?
I think that we do move a little too fast, because when we see this guy that's interested in us, we're like, oh, yes, he is it. There was some red flags, but again, because of the commute and what he was doing and how he was doing it, whenever I went into town, it was always me. He took me around to different friends, families, and everything like that. I just didn't pay attention to the red flags, even though they were there. But it was just the fact that this man was really into me. He paid attention to me. So I fell for it, and it was like, hey, come rescue me.
Yeah.
This was like my knight in shining armor that came and got me. Little did I know that it was a different side waiting on me once I got to that different state.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. It seemed as though Anthony, he wined and dined you in the beginning. And then once he got you, he turned into a completely different person. So I want to know, why is that so common in relationships and in marriages? Like, you meet one version of a person, then all of a sudden you're with them. And then it's like, who the hell are you? You know
You
what I
meet the
mean?
representative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have
That's
a
right.
question to piggyback on that too. Also, none of his family members said anything to you.
None of the family said anything. In
Oh wow.
fact, the mom made a comment, why are you hiding your wife? And when
Mhm.
she made that comment, I'm like, what your mama mean? Why you had your wife?
Oh.
So when that was said, I started paying attention to some things, and
Mhm.
this was like in the first week of our marriage.
Oh wow.
Once we got to what I want to say day 7, that's when this young lady called to let me know, hey, your husband just walked in the door. He should have walked in the door at this time. He had on one sock because he couldn't find the other.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, so when I got that phone call, I was like, oh, really? And I actually entertained her phone call. And it was so funny because as I'm talking to her, he's calling me on the other line. So I'm like,
Mhm.
you know what? I got this girl on the other line. She telling me where you was at last night. So you know what? Do me a favor and call me back. He's like, no, hang up on her, hang up on. No, I want to hear what she got to say. Hold on, because this is a little interesting. Because you did come in with one sock, and how would she know that?
Right.
One, two, how would she know what time you came in? So I'm gonna click back over and talk to her, and I get back to you if you still on hold.
Mhm.
So I
Wow.
did. I clicked back over, I talked to her, and she told me absolutely everything. Asked me where did I come from because they were actually supposedly engaged.
Mm.
Yeah, they were
Wow.
supposed to be engaged. So when I asked him, okay, so your fiance called me and told me XYZ, what's going on? He was like, I broke it off with her. I wanted you. And that's the end of the story. I was like, but you left her hanging.
Mhm.
So his excuse was she was not the one that I wanted to marry. So when I heard that, I was like, oh, okay. So I was the one that you wanted to marry. Okay. So now how we gonna move forward? And that's how I ended up staying, for the additional months.
I heard once when I have another question on that. When he said, I'm sorry, when
No, go ahead.
he
No, go ahead.
said that you weren't she wasn't the one, did that not give you like a red flag or indicator like how many others were there? And then I became the one.
Once he said that to me, that was like oh wow, I felt
Mm-hmm.
honored because you wanted me and not her. So
Mm-hmm.
therefore, there was something in me that you saw that you did not see in her. So
Mm-hmm.
apparently, I was the one with the wife qualities that you were looking for that she did not have. Then I
Mm-hmm.
later found out that she was um a drug addict, and you know, a lot of people was helping her through her chemical dependency and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So I don't know if that's what was going on when they were together, or so.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to say something. Do you think that's the reason why sometimes women act fast? For example, it's sometimes I know people say, well, you shouldn't fall for that, this, that, and that. But I mean, we only human, right? And sometimes I feel like men, I don't want to put this out there, but like they're trained to know what to say. And even though we play hardcore, because I'm one of those people that'll be like, nope, 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 not giving this, that, and that, and that. And I had a guy that he really got me because he went on a whole religious thing. He was like, I know I pray specifically for this type of woman and this, that, and that, and that. And I had met him I was putting gas in my car. And he said, and you know, we talked a long time on the phone every day, blah, 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 blah. And he was like, I know I asked God, and you know, I know you a woman of God and all this God stuff. And I was like, okay, a man that pray, you know? And he was just like telling me all of these good qualities. And it does not mean that I have low self-esteem or I don't believe in myself or I require validation, because I don't. But that human part or the flesh, whatever you want to call it, he was saying, you know, to hear somebody say all this stuff like, no, you stand out, you're different, you look different, you speak differently, you talk about God. And I kept saying to him, I kept saying, I don't know how I know this. I said, I gotta pray, because he kept saying, I want an answer from you. You need to tell me.
Oh,
He told me I need to let him know he want to be in a relationship. And I kept saying, man, I don't, you know, let me pray on this, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, I don't want to take a long time, but that was my point. Sometimes we can be so, like I said, I am the hardcore. And it's like, no, I'd have heard it all, blah, blah, blah. But when he was like, I prayed and I know God answered my prayer, he kind of almost got me.
well,
So yeah,
one got me like that. Man,
yeah,
he was actually a minister. One got me like that.
yeah. I'm like, okay, well, a man talking about God, and he know my. I was like, okay, but yeah, that so and so was something. Yeah, be quiet on that. But yeah, uh-huh.
Any more questions?
So yeah, so my question was, why is that so common in relationships and in marriages that, you know, men can do that, you know, be one way and then another way? Like, I mean, do we have our guards down? Are we just, you know, sensitive as women that we just want somebody to give us attention? Like, I'm just trying to figure out, like, why is that very common? You hear a lot of stories where, like I stated, oh, well, he was this way, and then all of a sudden I got with him, and then he was another way. You know, it's like I'm just trying to get to understand, you know, why that is and
Well,
why it's so common.
men are trained, and some are very patient. Men are trained to roll out the red carpet for what it is that you want. Then once you get what you want, you know, they're not taught to maintain what, you know, you went after. And in his case, he was not taught to maintain what he went after. And personally, you know, as I was writing a book and I thought about all of the changes of events and everything that transpired, even in the beginning, you know, I kind of questioned myself, is he the rebound guy? Because he came along after a terrible marriage, you know, and I was at that place where, you know, man, I just want somebody to hold me. I want somebody to hug me. I want somebody to talk to me. You know, I needed that male figure, you know. So he came along and he showed me everything that I wanted to see. But it was not until, you know, I got to his state, you know, and where he lives at, that I saw the real him. Um, in fact, when I wrote the book, you know, even before I wrote the book, he apologized to me because he was like, I didn't give our marriage a chance. a chance. He said, I was young and I was dumb and, and I did some things. And of course, as we get older, we mature, we think about some of the mistakes that we made, and his thing was he wasn't thinking about it like that, when I left, and we'll get to that later. When I left, all his friends talked about him. They talked about him so bad, and they talked about, how he had a good woman that was for him and with him and that moved from another state, and I think it didn't resonate, as to what he had until his friends started talking about him and, started sharing with him and really got on his case about what he was doing. Some of them knew about this other female and some of them didn't. The ones that didn't were the ones that came down on him real hard. The ones that did know about it, they laughed at him. So I honestly, think that he was, again, my rebound guy.
And to think of when you said something about maturity, I want to go back to when you listened to oh girl when she called you with the information. Like most women, we're gonna be like, you don't know what the hell you talking about. That's my man. Da 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 da. You was like, you when your man called you, you said, hold on. Yeah. I'm listening to her over here. I'll talk to you when I'm done trying to get this information. Because like most women don't do that. We're not even trying to hear what the other woman trying to say. We like, who is you? You don't know him, blah, blah, blah. You can't tell me nothing about my man, da, 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 So I thought that was really mature of you to sit there and listen to her through the entirety of the conversation.
I did. It was, when I tell you, it was a very cordial call. She asked me questions. I answered her questions. I asked her questions. She answered my questions. And it was like, it was two girlfriends having a conversation. And I think what really kind of messed her up is the fact of the conversation that I was having with her didn't cuss her out, didn't go off on her. In fact, she was the first call, but she was not the only call. Yeah, she was the first call. I had two other women to call me behind that, so, and all of this happened within a year's time. Everything happened within a year's time. It's just that the first woman happened in the first 7 days of our marriage.
Anybody else can know? I got a question.
I want to say, and I think that the reason why you entertain the conversation is because she has specifics that she wouldn't have known, and how you have known that. So that's probably what made you even more interested in talking to her. Like, how do you know this? It's got to be some truth to it, because I don't know you, you don't know me, but we know him.
Yeah. And the fact that she called his mother's house, because that's where we were staying at. So how did she know, one, I was staying at your mother's house, and to call me at your mother's house? Because I answered the phone. And two, how do you know that he walked in with one sock? So yeah, those were all, okay, wait a minute. She on to something right here. And mind you, we had been on the phone for at least a good maybe 3 or 4 minutes before he called. So apparently, I don't know if he knew she was gonna call, that, he called himself gonna try to call to cover up his tracks. I don't know. I just know it was ironic for them to be on the phone with me at the same time. But like I said, it just really threw her for a loop that I actually sat down and had that conversation with her.
Anybody else? You also stated in your book, please entertain your male company outside the house.
Oh, yes.
So I wanted to talk about that. Like, most couples don't think there's anything wrong with having, male company over, the guys, whatever. So it's like, in your mind, you already knew that this not going to end well. You having all this frequent company over here, So why are some people so complacent to have company over the house all the time? Like, normally people are like, oh, this is my friend, that's just my homeboy or whatever. You had already knew, and maybe an older elder had taught you like, hey, don't have company at your house. I don't know, but I just want to know, why are some people so complacent with that? Because things can go left.
I've never had anybody to teach me that. It was just what I saw. Mind you, these are two neighbors that were flirting with me, and one was a coworker. And these were also the ones that was telling him how beautiful his wife was, and he will always have them over, and they will always, sometimes they'll be in the house and sometimes they'll be sitting outside the house. By this time, we're in an apartment now. And in the apartment complex was in the L shape. So we had a set of friends in one side of the building, and then we had another set of friends on the other side. And one of them was so close that right next door. Okay. So I would tell him sometimes they would sit outside the stairs, and the way our apartment was set up, we were the second apartment, so we were right by the stairs. They would sit on the stairs and drink. And then sometime, he'll invite them in the house and they watching the football game, whatever. But when they started flirting with me, I told him, I said, sweetheart, you need to entertain your company outside the house, because they're getting a little too comfortable and they're getting a little too common. And one thing I didn't want to happen is for them to get comfortable to the tune that they're coming to knock on the door knowing that he's not at home. And it actually happened. It actually happened. So, it was not until I knew that my husband was on his way home, but his coworker thought that he was working overtime. So I knew from the time span what time my husband was scheduled to be home. And, I got a little room to show him. So the guy was only in the house a few minutes. I had offered him a beer, set him down on the couch and everything. He was only in the house for a few minutes before my husband walked in. And when my husband walked in, that's what broke the company, and broke the entertaining the male friends at the house like that. Especially when I brought it up.
Yeah. Yeah. You gave him a warning.
Mhm.
So
I gave him a warning.
yeah. Yeah. Anybody else? Okay, to add to that comment that you made, I wanted to say that you told him to entertain this company outside the house, but then I kind of feel like as I read on, it kind of backfired, because you said that Anthony started having or entertaining his company outside the home. Remember when you said he was dating other girls or seeing other people, another woman in a park and whatever? So it's like, it seems as though he said, okay, well, she said, don't bring them here. Let me go outside, let me go meet some people outside if I need to go, do what I need to do. So do you feel like it kind of backfired? Or to me, I feel like it might have did, but how do you feel?
That part didn't backfire, because the young lady that he was meeting in the park is the same young lady that hollered, "That's mine."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the same young lady. So, they were meeting at the park. They were meeting in different little areas. In fact, one day, he was on his way to his mom's house, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I haven't seen your mom in a while. I'm gonna go with you." So I jumped in the car. We rolled past. She's standing on the corner of her house. She's standing on the corner. She has on the exact same thing that he has on. I said, "Oh, ain't that
I
cute,
was
y'all?"
just about to ask you that. How did you feel about the matching outfits?
Yeah. I said, "Oh,
Multiple
ain't that
times,
cute,
because they
y'all
either had
too?"
on matching outfits or the same color. Did you? That
It,
wasn't
it,
like.
it was exact. When I say exact, you know how you have the warm-up suits?
Mm-hmm.
The jacket was a hooded jacket and the jogging pants.
Mm-hmm.
Exact. When I say exact color, exact maker, everything exact. All the way down to the shoes, exact. Come to find out she bought it for him.
Oh
So,
wow.
apparently they were getting ready to go out or go to the mall or something. They was getting ready to go somewhere. And when he saw her, when we saw her, because she was prepared to jump in the car. So she saw the car coming, and I just so happened to be sitting in the car. So when we passed by, I looked at her like, "Oh, wow." I said, "Ain't that cute? Y'all got the same thing." Was she waiting for you? I don't start no mess, that type thing. So she called him, and of course he had to play it off. At this time, I didn't know that she had bought him a cell phone.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but she called him, and he told her we'll have to do it some other time or whatever. It was just, yeah. And I'm finding out all of this stuff after the fact,
Mm-hmm.
about how they communicated and that type thing. So I eventually found the cell phone. But did you all get to the part where the ex-wife was the one that told me about the cell phone?
Mhm.
So that was the lady who you were talking to. I didn't know who she was. Is that the
Phyllis, right?
same lady who was
The
calling you all the time?
the ex-wife was the one that was giving me the information about
Oh.
Phyllis.
the young lady that hollered, "That's mine."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm.
Wow.
So that was
So
Phyllis.
yeah, if that's her name, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I have to look in the book to
She
Well,
the
remember.
yes, because she
ex-wife.
was giving you information, but at some point, I think she stopped. She didn't have the information because either someone stopped telling her the information, when you was like, you already knew everything she had told you, but then she wouldn't, you stopped, it was like, I'm not going to give her any more information because it's like she was mooching off the information from you to try to find out what was going on because she was still involved.
Yeah, in fact, she was the mother of his children.
Mm-hmm.
So when the kids came over to the house, I had to let her know, I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
treat your kids like they're mine because they
Mm-hmm.
belong to him. So I wanted to make her comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that I don't have any alt or any type of, feelings towards her kids,
Right.
and that they're safe to be, in my presence. So it had even got to the point where we got so good, that we were going out to dinner and we were taking all the kids all together. So, so we built that relationship as women,
Mm-hmm.
and because we had one thing in common, and that was the father of her children.
Mm-hmm.
So we built that relationship, and she made sure that in the process of what was going on, what was happening, that I knew what was happening and what was going on. And later on, she asked me, how did I get him to apologize to me? Because he never apologized to her for
Oh,
her
wow.
to her. Yeah. So when I talked to him, I was like, why you didn't apologize to that woman? You know you did her wrong. You know you broke her nose. So he eventually apologized to her. He was
Oh,
like,
wow.
yeah, but I felt like I shouldn't have had to say anything to him. But I think that because of the way that I was, he had more respect for me than
Mm-hmm.
he did with any of the women that he was involved with. Even today, he asked me, when you coming back home? I was like, you got a lot of jokes. But we still
Hilarious.
friends, and that love for me is still there with him, but it's not the same for me. And I
Mm-hmm.
explained to him we're living two different lives, and
Mm-hmm.
are one that I cannot go back to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So my thing is everyone don't get a Phyllis per se, right? So she gave you the information that made you look a little closer, made you watch your husband more
Yep.
closely.
Yep.
Okay. So some women don't ever suspect that their man is doing anything. So what if you never got a call from Phyllis? Like, what if, you know what I mean? Like she gave you the heads up, like look out
Yeah.
for your husband.
If I never would have gotten a call from Phyllis, I probably never would have seen what was going on, what was happening. I
Mm-hmm.
probably would have been like, oh, he just going to his mother's house. Oh, he just hanging out with the boys. Oh, he just doing this and he doing that. Because he never it was a lot of stuff that was never displayed. But when Phyllis gave it to me, I started watching some stuff. Even the phone calls to the house, when the phone would ring, I would answer it, and the person would hang up. I ain't think none of it because at the end of the day, I'm a housewife. He taking care of me and my kids.
Mm-hmm.
He was a good provider. He did all of the shopping if there was anything that I needed. The little jobs that I was doing was like in the temp agency. So that was just, a little change for me, to buy anything that I wanted, my little personals. If I wanted to buy me an outfit, that was what my money was used for. So, again, I didn't think nothing of it because he was a man. He provided. But he also had that mentality, as long as I'm taking care of home and as long as I'm taking care of business, I can go outside and play. He had that mentality.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know if that's what's taught in the South, but that was the mentality that he had. It was another man that even said that to me, and I was like, "Ew, y'all do that?" So me leaving the South and not growing up in the South, but then, returning to the South, it was like an eye opener for me because I'm like, wait a minute, Chicago men, wait, do they really do that? Because with my first husband, I didn't have women problems. I didn't have where, he was going out hanging with the women. He was with the fellas, and I knew he was with the fellas because of where they were at, what they were doing, and then I had people that would let me know if it was anything else that was going on. So I didn't see any inkling of another woman in the first marriage. But in the second marriage, I never, like you say, if Phyllis hadn't told me, I probably never would have seen, what was going on, what was happening until probably years later.
And you would have stayed in the marriage a lot longer.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
have stayed in a lot longer. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially with him jumping ropes and, going through hoops and trying to make sure that, I was satisfied, trying to please me and the stuff that he was doing. Because he was actually taking her money to furnish our house, taking her money to put insurance on my car, taking her money to, do little things for the house. He bought a surround sound system and television for our apartment and a dinette set with the money that she gave him. So of course, yeah, I didn't think nothing about it. It was me. I was the what you call the trophy wife.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then you mentioned he had that cell phone, so then you would have never been able to know anything because he had a whole nother phone he talking to people on, not the phone that he talking to you on. You know what I mean? So he was
had
real
two
slick.
cars. He had two cars. He had a work car and he had the family car. The work car is where he kept the cell phone. So, anytime he wanted to talk to her, she knew to call him like when he was on his way to work or when he got off work or whatever. That was the only time that they were able to talk. It was in the work car. How Phyllis knew all of this stuff, I still don't know. And when she told me, oh, he keeps the cell phone in his work car, I said, oh, okay. I walked right on out there, opened the door, reached up under the seat, reached up under the driver's seat, and there the cell phone was. I took the cell phone, I put a hammer to it, and as soon as he came home, it was sitting right there for him to see it. I had it in a Ziploc bag.
No more cell phone.
I have a question. I do have a question. So you were okay with her furnishing your house?
Well, I didn't find out about all of that until after the fact. I didn't find out about, her furnishing the house until after I was gone. Because I didn't know. I just thought, he was working a lot of overtime. I'm thinking that, this is money that he got from the overtime, not only that, if I'm not mistaken, I think that was like right around taxes or something like that. So I never questioned where all this stuff came from. I just knew that it just started, I was sitting looking at it like I was at the movie theater. We were sitting eating on a glass table, I didn't think about that again. He was doing a lot of overtime, so I was excited about, the stuff that he was furnishing the house with. So we was talking about buying a house and, all of that stuff. And again, just never thought of that.
And normally when a man buy you furniture, you just like so ecstatic, like I'm so happy. You're not like, where you get this money from? Who gave it? You ain't drilling no nigga.
No red flag whatsoever.
I ain't asking no questions. Thank you. Okay.
Like I say, it was like I was at the movies. I had to say, wait, can we turn that down? We might be disturbing the neighbors because it was bouncing the walls, So.
Yeah. So I do want to let people know that this book has a lot of different themes that we will be touching on. So I mean, we're talking about relationships here, marriage, infidelity, and so forth. So I just want to let people know that it is a lot of layers to this book. Next, I want to talk about the physical abuse when that started. I want to talk about the fact that when the abuser is in action. Do you think that they are zoned out or not mentally here? For example, people would say, I don't remember, or I blanked out, so that's just an example. So do you think they zone out when they're actually in the moment, doing what they're doing?
In his case, the night that we were watching the Dallas Cowboys game, I forgot who they were playing against. We had family over. He had been drinking. He's a big Dallas Cowboys fan. He had been drinking. A lot of family was over, and they started teasing him about his team. He zoned out. He had completely zoned out, because I can't not remember exactly what was said to him, but it was something that was said to him. And his father was all of maybe 120, 130 pounds. And he started choking his father. It got so bad that he was choking his father down into the couch in between the pillows. The pillows started moving from the couch. He had completely zoned out. So I'm trying to stop him because we got a glass cocktail table, daddy kicking the glass cocktail table. I'm thinking he finna break it. It was all the family trying to stop him. He was like a raging bull. And this was the first time that I have ever seen a black man. And mind you, he's thick and he's stocky, so it would take at least 5 to 6 men, to stop him. But he was like, his face was red, eyes was red. He was intoxicated. He had zoned out. So I was like, I didn't know what to do. I just started throwing ice on him and throwing water on him. And little did I know, the Incredible Hulk turned on me, so I'm looking at him. All the kids and stuff was crying. So I, ran out the door. And when I ran out the door, everybody trying to stop him. And we running around in the parking lot. And now the neighbors out, the neighbors looking, and he out of breath and he running. So it was like he had zoned out that particular time. But some of the other times it was behind his drinking when we had the different altercations or the different situations. The day that I kicked the door in, I came in late and he was upset he was on the couch, so he wasn't drinking that time. But yeah, for the most part, every time that we had those physical altercations, it was behind his drinking.
And when you got with him, you had known he was drinking anyway, because I'm sure you had a few, when you're dating somebody or like you say married to him, that they drink. So I guess this particular day it just went a little bit too far.
Yeah, he was drinking hard liquor this particular day, which is not something that he normally does. With him, he's a big, and I mean big beer drinker, so it was, nothing for me to see him, drinking his beer or, drinking beer with his friends. And I mean, it was to the point where he could drink a whole case, and still not be intoxicated. But once he mixed that beer with the dark alcohol, then that's when it went to another level.
Yeah. 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 After that incident, you called the hotline number for battered and used shelter for women. It seems as though he had, like you stated in the book, that he had a history of domestic abuse. You found out that later?
Yeah. Phyllis,
Yeah.
well, that's a Phyllis, was the one that told me about how they fought. He broke her arm and her nose. One time he body slammed her on the lawn of his mother's house. So she shared with me, some of the abuse that she experienced with him. And that was one of the downfalls of their marriage. So she was like, just be careful, because he does this and he does that. And I specifically told him, if it ever gets to the point where I'm not enough woman for you, that you got to invite a third party in our marriage, or you got to put your hands on me, let me go, walk away. I said, because once you put your hands on me, or once another woman is introduced into the equation, it's a wrap for me, and you're not going to like the outcome. So, of course, he did not heed the warning. And that's where the the cup of bleach came in that I was holding. Yeah, he didn't heed the warning. So one thing led to another, to the tune that I said, okay, God, I know that this is not how you want me to live. This is not how a marriage is supposed to be. And I was like, okay, how can I get out? So at that particular time, it was a commercial that came on. When I saw that commercial, then that's when I was like, you know what? Let me call this hotline. So when I called the hotline and I got this particular lady, oh my God, she was so nice. And, you know, the conversations that we had, she made me feel at ease, made me feel comfortable, to the tone like, okay, if he does this again, I'm leaving because I'm not taking no more. So, and that's exactly what happened. Another incident happened again, and I turned around and I left and I ran to that shelter. I got to a certain point. I had to make a phone call. Once I made that phone call, they gave me the instructions of what to do, where to park my car. Once I park my car, somebody will come and get me and the kids. And that was how that went. Mhm.
Well, I want to just say that, it took a lot of courage to call that hotline number because a lot of women don't. They have a lot of fear, and whatever else may be going on with them, in denial, whatever the case may be. Oh, this is just his first time. He'll come and say, I'm sorry, and they'll just say, okay, I forgive him. So it really, I want to just say it took a lot of courage out of you to make that phone call, because a lot of women don't. So,
There
and
were a
I
lot of
do.
there were a lot of I'm sorry's. There were a lot of I'm sorry's, and that's why I say in the book that you could be friends to somebody that's in an abusive relationship, but be that friend. Don't say, "Oh, girl, you should leave him," and girl, when you gonna not you because you're not in that position, you don't know how she feels. Like with me, everybody was like, "Oh, girl, you need to leave him." I'm like, "No, that's my husband." But it was not until I was tired of fighting that I said, "Okay, enough is enough." So once, your friend that that's in an abusive relationship, once she gets tired, because sometimes we think that, hey, if I leave, I don't have nothing. I'm not gonna have nothing. He's my only source. And sometimes men manipulate us to the tune that yes, they are our only source. And when I left with absolutely nothing. I grabbed my kids and all I had was my car. I didn't have a change of clothes. I didn't have nothing. Once I walked into the shelter, they took me to a room. I, let me know this is my sleeping quarters. Then after they showed me my sleeping quarters, they took me to another room. This room had all the toiletries that I can think of that I need. So I was able to go shopping in this particular room. Then they took me to another room where there was clothes for women. So I was able to get a change of clothes, even all the way down to they had brand new underwear, so I didn't have to worry about wearing somebody else's underwear. Then they took me to another room where there was kids' clothes. So by the time I sat in my room that was provided for me, and it was a bunk bed. So it was perfect, a bunk bed, and I was in a room by myself with my kids. So, by the time that I went in my room, my personal room that I was able to lock, I had everything I needed to survive me for at least 7 days.
Wow.
hmm
Wow.
Everything I
Any,
needed to survive for 7 days. Yeah.
whew,
Mhm.
that's a
I
lot.
know, I know.
Anybody
Yeah.
else have questions? Anybody else have questions? Ah. So yeah, like just being in the shelter, we see homeless people all the time, you know. Um, and it just brings me back. I also forgot to say that in the beginning of your book, you stated, in life, no one would ever dream of becoming homeless. And we see people asking for money. We see people on the street all the time, every day, walking past them, whatever the case may be, driving past them, but we don't think of how did they get there. It's not like they want to be out here doing this. You know what I mean? People have, of course, a story. Everyone has a story, so this particular segment is to help someone that is dealing with this particular issue. Maybe someone knows someone that's in an abusive relationship, that can possibly help them out, or homeless people, someone may don't have a place to stay. There's really a lot of different ways of how someone can become homeless, but a lot of times we don't really talk to the homeless people, right? We normally, hey, go a couple dollars and we gone. He go 50 cents or a dollar, $2 and we gone, or whatever the case may be. We don't really sit there and listen to them, and it's almost like they're almost not part of society. So just to hear your story, a lot of people know Sheila, she's well known, but a lot of people don't know your story. So I wanted to definitely, talk about it, bring it out to people, and, make them aware that it can happen to any one of us.
Anyone.
Any one of us.
Yeah.
We're not exempt.
Never would I.
So it's just, this is just, it's just something that like I said, I wanted to share with people and make them aware, so that if you do see a homeless person next time, maybe talk to them, or maybe give them food, like a lot of times we always giving them money, maybe buy them a piece of chicken, or, something like that. And I mean, I don't know, maybe give them clothes, or there's a lot of other things you can do besides, oh, let me just give them some money and keep going. You know what I mean? So it just make us aware of, dealing with, homeless people and people that are, like I said, in abusive relationship, because I don't know the percentage, I didn't look it up, but I'm sure there's a high percentage of women dealing right now that are in abusive relationships and can't get out and don't know how to get out.
Yeah, and
so.
then there are some that don't survive because they don't get out. As I was on this journey, and as you stated, no one wants to be homeless. However, you got some people that are homeless by choice. And the reason why I say that is because as I'm out, about in the streets and doing the giveaways and doing charity work and things like that, I meet people that are homeless, and I ask them, I used to be homeless, but I got out the situation. Do you want to get out the situation? I met a lady who is homeless. She's over here in Roseland, and she's around 111th in Michigan. And the woman is, I mean, I look at her. She got a shopping cart. Her odor is so offensive. And I was talking to her one day, come to find out the lady has a PhD. She has a PhD. She lost her job. She lost her house. She lost everything. So when she lost everything, she lost the will, to even do. She lost the will to whatever. She found it easy to be on the street begging. She ain't got to worry about nothing, no responsibilities, nothing else. She go, and every now and then she'll go into the Roseland charities and sleep there for the night or something like that, and she has family. I don't know if you remember when we had that real bad flood, and I was doing collections for people that was under the viaduct downtown. And as I'm downtown helping them, I'm finding out these people get checks. So, with them getting checks, they're getting government checks. They get linked, they get all of this being homeless. They just pay for a PO box, and one lady told me, she said, every now and then, she said, I'm out here, she said, and I'm good. The streets take care of me. She said, when I really want to go and take a shower, she said, I go to my daughter's house, but my daughter don't know I'm out here like this and this, that, and I mean, she had a story. No overhead, no responsibility, ain't got to pay no bills, money in the bank, and yeah. So you got some that are actually homeless, and you got some that's okay with being homeless.
It's I'm glad you said that, because I was going to speak on that. It's a guy out here by me in Hansdale. I've been seeing him probably, my son, probably for about, I would say 15 years. And so my son is one of those people too. He did this whole thing where he went down to Waco Drive and did a whole food drive one year, but he did it without me. By the time I found out, he was like, I know you would have wanted me to do it that way. You would have wanted to plan it and all that. I don't know, he had somehow came up with the money. He went online, got the money, and he went to McDonald's. I thought it was, but I had to say, okay, he was doing a good deed. He went to McDonald's and bought up all this McDonald's and did it that way. Instead of, I was like, Malik, if you told me, we could have cooked and, got a lot. But anyway, my point is, it's a guy out here, and my son talks to everybody. And not only does my son talk to everyone, the school had told my son too. It's a guy out here, I've been seeing him for years. You talk to him, you say hi, he speak or whatever. And one of the teachers told my son that the guy come from a really good family, good background, everything. I can't remember all the details, so I don't want to say it and say it wrong, but something happened and his family been trying to get him home with them and all this type of stuff, and it's his choice. It's his choice. He does not want to go home with them. They said his background good, all of that type of stuff. You can tell he real smart. I've spoken to him or whatever. And even one day my daughter came home saying that he did something to them. And I said, or one of her friends, and I said, are you sure you guys didn't do something or say something? Because I've been seeing him for years, and this man has never said or did anything out the way. So you sure you kids wasn't just doing something? But anyway, yeah. So even the schools know him out here, and they were saying that he that's his preference. So even though it sounds a little crazy, but that's his preference. Again, I can't remember all the details behind it, but I'm glad you said that. That is a preference for some people, but then you have many others, and it's not a preference. They do have a story, like you said, such as yours. So,
Yeah. Well, that's new. I did not know people, choose to live that type of lifestyle, I mean,
for them, I don't know if it's considered, it becomes their life. To us, as a person on the outside, it's not the norm. But for them, I think, again, I can't remember his situation, but sometimes things trigger, and it's just like the motivation. They lose it, and it's just like, hey, or the pride. I don't want to go back home to family. You have a lot of family members. It was another young lady, they would have all over TikTok. And it showed she had a family that would come get her, clean up, do this, do that. But she was still, it was the streets, and I don't want to judge. I don't know why she chose that, but she has kids. And they would come clean up when they can get her, but it was her choice. I just don't know why. Maybe she felt like she was a problem or something, whatever it may be. I don't know, but she's all over TikTok. All over.
wow.
If I'm not mistaken, I think it's the one that if she was just recently pregnant. Um she was sleeping in the parks or something like that, and she talks about her story about being raped. Is that the same girl?
You know what? I'm sorry. I haven't. I deleted TikTok. I haven't kept up in a while, but I know every once in a while her family is showed like they cleaning her up because she had got so popular. It was a big thing. Like they would put out where is whatever her name was. When they didn't see her outside.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's her.
I can't
That's
think
her.
of her name, but she has family. Like she has,
Yeah.
I think she has family, like family, and look like good family. Again, this is my perception looking at them, but they clean up, get all good, and she'll do 1 or 2 days, and there she go again. She back out.
So let me take you to me personally. I have a sister that is homeless. She's homeless by choice. She's in Louisiana, and her situation that caused her to be homeless is traumatic. She lost her only son, and he was 6 years old, killed getting off a bus. So that sent her in a bipolar, schizophrenic situation. So instead of, and she made the statement, because we all have homes, and she could have came and stayed with us. My parents, she was with my parents, but because of her illness and because of where she's at mentally, her thing is she would rather be on the streets and living in the park than being with family. She's had people to try to help her get a job, get herself together. The problem is whenever she hears an ambulance, it flips her out. During this time, this is the time that she really flips out because he was killed November 16th. So anytime around Thanksgiving and Christmas is the worst time ever for her life. So you know, she has family that wants her. She has family that wants to help her. She has family that, will do for her. And the tripped out part about it, every time she gets arrested, I'm the first person she calls. Every time she gets in trouble with the law, I'm the first person that she calls, and I'm the one that's, making all of the arrangements and put money on the books and, making sure she good, letting the family know what's going on, what's happening. I have not talked to her lately, but she's been in touch with my parents. So she supposedly is doing okay. However, she prefers to sleep in the streets. Yeah. And that's my blood sister.
Sheila, question, does she have another child, or that was her only child?
I was her only child.
Oh, okay, because I know someone else. Then I don't think they're homeless, but their son got killed off of getting off of school bus around this time last year. So I was like wondering.
Oh no, this was 15 years ago when this happened.
Oh.
We've been dealing with this for she started going downhill probably 3 years after his death. And it happened in the state of Louisiana.
Oh, okay.
And then they changed the laws behind that. And then turned around and they gave her, I want to say $50,000. She had somebody to help her spend it, and she just went downhill. It just went
Yeah.
downhill.
Well, that's a traumatic experience. So, it weighs on you mentally. So it causes the PTSD. So that's why. And, I used to work a lot with shelters. I don't do it as much as I would like to. I used to volunteer at homeless shelters and pamper the battered women and children. I would go and do their nails. I would bring someone in to do their hair. I would have people donating shoes and bags and stuff to them. With my church, I used to go to different shelters and we would feed them during the holidays. And so I remember one of the directors giving us a tour of the shelter, and they said it's like 3 type of homeless people in the world. One of them is mental. Those are the ones that you want to help, but you can't because mentally they're just stuck there. Then you have those that drug substance abuse, whether it's alcohol or drugs, and family has done all they can, and so they don't have anybody else to turn to but substance. And then you have people life, those that have went to college, did this, that, and the other, but may have lost their job, and then they just couldn't get back on their feet, and their family probably just got tired of borrowing money, staying here, staying there. So that was interesting to hear that there's like 3 type of homeless people in the world. And so sometimes you may look at a person and say, wonder what happened to them, but it's a story, like you said, to every homeless person. But it's sometimes it is not because they have a mental it's mental. It may not be substance, it could be just life, and then they just become comfortable in that setting, because those are the people that are usually pretty smart, and then they do have family, but sometimes they get help, sometimes they don't. But yeah, I used to do a lot with shelters and battered women, and also adolescent teen moms as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the adolescent teen moms is kind of sort of a passion for me. I was not a teen mother, but the fact that I work with teenagers, and have been in the high school setting for 25 years, it becomes a passion for me because I'm looking at young ladies that get pregnant, thrown away. Baby daddies don't want to be bothered with them. Some in an abusive situation, some raped. Some, I had one girl who was raped by her father, and her father impregnated her. So that's what caused me to become part of um oh God, and I'm on the board of directors. I'll call the name of the organization in a minute. But yeah, that's what caused me to reach out and start helping the young ladies, the pregnant teens.
Wow.
A Caring Hand Foundation. That's it. A Caring
What is
Hand
it?
Foundation. A Caring Hand Foundation for pregnant teens.
How do you
Yeah,
spell that?
that's a pregnant hand, a caring hand. A
Oh,
C
Karen.
A R I N G H A N D. A Caring Hand
Okay.
Foundation for pregnant teens. Yeah.
Okay.
Where they
It's
located at?
Connie Williams is the founder, and it's located here in Chicago.
In the city, like
Yeah.
downtown?
No,
Oh,
actually, she's far. It's in the south suburbs. But
okay.
she does things in the city.
Okay.
She does things, different classes, different workshops. Right now they're adopting families for the holiday, to do baby clothes and stuff like that. One day I had a baby shower and I had a house full of stuff, to give to the teens. And yeah,
Mhm.
it was this whenever I asked for donations for baby donations, I started getting all kind of stuff, baby clothes, baby swings, bathtubs, walkers, all kind of stuff. Hmm.
And that's
Yeah.
the foundation you're on. You're the board of directors on.
Yes, a Caring
Oh,
Hand Foundation for pregnant teens. Yes, I'm on the board
oh
of.
wow. And how long have you been a part of that organization?
Oh, it's been more than 10 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's been more than 10 years. Like I say, with working with, the high schoolers and having firsthand knowledge of some of the things that these girls are going through is what caused me to want to make a difference. So therefore, if I have, or I come across some of the, teens in the school, I'm talking to them, hey, you got some resources, hey, what's going on? So one of the girls, we at my particular school, we did not have a high pregnancy rate, but when I did find out, there was, I would let them know, hey, I know an organization that gives away baby clothes, and do you need anything? So I connected one young lady to the tune that she got a stroller, a car seat, and she got some baby clothes. Yeah. So by the time she had a baby shower, you know, the big stuff was already out the way. All she needed was the rest of the stuff. Yeah. Mhm. So yeah, it's quite a bit I'm involved in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Always giving back. Always giving back. Because I'm like, God, you blessed me. So, if I have, I'm blessing others. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing about Sheila. She has her hand in everything, baby. And I think that's why, your title at your school, as far as being a dean, you can relate to a lot of the students when they have problems. What how to give them resources. You got information. You got your own story. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you can just really, get on their level. You
Not
know.
only that, I they they pay me to have a degree, but they don't pay me to use it. My degree is in psychology. So when I get the kids in my office and, I'm like, we have a conversation first before I go down to the discipline. So in our conversation, I may ask questions that will cause them to have an emotional breakdown. So once they have that emotional breakdown, then I know what direction to go and how to deal with them. Yeah, whether I need the counselor, whether I need the social worker, that psychologist, or a therapist or anything like that. Sometimes they don't feel comfortable in talking to them, and I always tell them, find a trusted adult in this building that you can talk to, and then we can go from there. Mhm. Sometimes I hate I be that trusted adult. I do. And they reveal all kind of stuff to me. Yeah, I promise you. They reveal all kind of stuff. One boy revealed to me his sexuality. I said, "Whoo, wait, sweetheart, hold on. Give me a minute to digest what you just told me. Get this. Hold on. You
And
know,
this early in the morning, I just woke up. Wait a minute.
baby, it
Let me
was
drink some coffee.
yes, it was too early. I had to tell him. I said, hold on. You know, because they do. They get when they're comfortable with you, they get really graphic. They get really graphic to the
Oh, I
tune.
know you done heard some stories. I already know.
Yeah.
And you've been doing it for how long? Yeah.
I've been doing it 25. I'm in year 26. Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
school are you at, Sheila?
I'm at Corliss.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I also work with youth as well, on social emotional learning, so I can relate. They do. They will tell you
Yeah.
anything once they trust you. So yeah, I have a passion for working with youth too.
Yeah. And if you had told me 26 years ago that I'd be working with youth, I probably would have cussed you out or told you something and sent you back where you came from. Cause I'm like, I can't stand kids. I don't want to be bothered with kids. I don't want them to say nothing to me. Don't touch me. Bad kids make me itch. I ain't want to have nothing to do with kids. But I want to say the first 5 years was really interesting. And that was when I was like, wait a minute, how am I telling you or encouraging you to get your education and I don't have mine? And that's what caused me to go back and get my degrees. Um, caused me to go back and get the 2 degrees that I got, to turn around to say, okay, now I can talk to you, and I can preach to you XYZ. And little did I know that me transforming their lives, they're transforming mine as well. So it was like
Absolutely, they make a
a
difference in your life. That's what I wish I
yes,
had known years ago. Then I wouldn't have been running around trying to figure out what my career, what I wanted to do. I just kind of got into it maybe like over 10 years, but I wish I had known so early on because it feeds my soul. So,
yeah,
but where I am now is exactly where I'm supposed to be. That's what they say. So I take it as that.
yeah. And where I'm at now is where I'm supposed to be. But it took a minute for me to understand that this was my purpose in life. This was my calling. And this is, what I'm supposed to be doing. But it took for me to take that step to come out of that bad relationship in order for me to get to where I am today. Mhm.
Yeah. I had a question. So what's your advice to other women that are in and going through the same situation that you was in, but are unable to get out?
My advice to them would be to question themselves. Do I really want to live like this? Is this what life really all about? Is this the only man for me to the tune that I have to stay here? Can I do better in life? Can I do better in this situation? Question yourself. Once you question yourself, that will cause you to make a change, want to change. Because I did, I questioned myself. I was like, okay, this is not how marriage is supposed to be. Mind you, I'm looking at my parents. I'm looking at their marriage. I'm looking at, how my dad treats my mom. And I was like, wait a minute, this is not how this thing's supposed to go. Now, given you have a whole lot of single homes where children may not see the marriage or see the mother and the father or see that example, but there's always grandparents, there's always somebody that they know that has a marriage, and they can kind of see, some things, even though they may not pay attention to it, but somewhere in the line there is a marriage that they can look at and say, hey, that's a marriage. A marriage is two people working together. It's not going to always be peaches and cream. It's not. You're going to have some hiccups and some bumps in the road. But when it comes to abuse, and there are 3 different types of abuse. There is the mental abuse, physical abuse, and then there is which one was the other one? It's mental, physical, and it's
Psychological?
logical. And the psychological abuse is one of the abuse that a lot of people don't pay attention to. That psychological and that mental abuse can go hand in hand because that's when you're dealing with a narcissist, and a narcissist is the type of person that will alienate you from your family. where it's just you and him and you're relying on him and him only. Belittle you, tell you you ain't worth nothing, tell you don't nobody want you, just feed you all this stuff. And in a sense, that was some of the things that I was getting, and I actually married two narcissists, not even knowing, anything about the narcissists until after the relationships were over, and I was like, wow. So yeah, they did alienate me because again, in Alabama, I was a housewife. So therefore, I barely saw my family. I talked to my family on the phone, but going to see them, going to visit them, no, I was always at home with the kids. He didn't have to worry about lunch because I cooked his lunch. He didn't have to worry about dinner. Dinner was always ready for him when he got home, and because of the type of work that he did, I had the little tub set up for his feet, because he worked in a coke plant. So I had it for his feet so he could relax his feet and, all the other kind of stuff, have his dinner sitting in front of the TV. So, I was doing the wifely duty, not knowing that I was being controlled.
Yes. Oh, and also I just remember the other abuse was verbal abuse.
Verbal abuse.
Another one.
Yeah.
Verbal abuse.
Verbal
Yeah.
abuse, yeah. Now I had that in this last marriage, the verbal abuse. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The name calling. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Most
So,
people we all know about physical abuse that we don't think about those other two being verbally abusive and mental abuse. You don't think about those because you can't see them. You know what I mean? It's not visible. So some people learn that down the line. By that time you're already in it.
yeah.
You like damn. But yeah.
I have a
So
question.
go ahead, Yolanda.
So you mentioned that you married two narcissists, but when you were like on the verge of leaving, when you were going out to the bars and the guy that was entertaining you, you didn't think he was like almost the same as your husband? To me, in the book, it appeared that way because he was like, oh, he's entertaining you. He only had eyes for you. He made you feel so special. But to me, it was like, she's getting involved with another husband. But, well, you're a husband, Anthony. But when I read it, that's how it appeared. He was like, he didn't have anybody. He danced with me, whatever. It didn't work out with you all. But it was like, to me, he mimicked the same things or the same character traits as your husband.
So let me tell you about him.
Okay.
Baby, when I tell you that was a Billy D. Williams, baby, I saw that man. When I tell you he was the finest thing in the club.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, and he chose me. I was like, oh, baby, I felt like the chosen one because it was a lot of women in the club trying to get his attention. But I was fully clothed. I didn't have all this stuff exposed. Everybody that was trying to get his attention was exposed. I'm fully clothed, I'm dancing and I'm doing my thing. My hair was, and I was looking cute, and every time he was the one that made me want to go to the club every week.
Wow.
He was the one that made me want to go to the club every week. And then it got to the point where, I started, doing little things with him, like, going little places or one time we went to Atlanta for something. I don't even remember what we went to Atlanta for. I just know we drove to Atlanta and I let him drive my car. I was in a red Camaro Rally Sport, the only one with the Illinois and the Indiana, Illinois and the Alabama license plate, so everybody knew my car. There go that little Chicago girl, So again, I was just fascinated with the fact that here this fine Billy D. Williams looking like, curly hair, slick hair, type thing. And I was like, he was buff too. I was like, but now with him, I saw the red flags.
Okay.
I saw the red flags with him. And that was one of the reasons why things didn't last between him, us. One, he didn't have a stable place to stay.
Okay.
Two, he was always in the club, yet he was with me. He told the family members, he would take me around his family, told them that I was gonna be you know, his wife and all this other kind of stuff. He would say that to the family, you know, but I just, you don't have a place to stay. It was, you know, but he didn't know that I knew that. I just knew that we kept on going. And I'm like, okay, well, where's your place at? You know, let's go back to your place. Let's, you know, it was always an excuse why we couldn't go back to his place. So that
Did you
was the
learn that from your first marriage?
did I
Not
what?
your first marriage, your marriage with Anthony. Like, where's your place at? I'm going to
Right, right, right.
Okay.
So I'm like, where's your place at? I want to see your place. You know,
Mhm.
he had a job, you know, he was, you know, doing his thing. Um, it was not a concern about other women because of how he did me and how he did it in the club. You know,
Mhm.
cause again, all these women were coming for him. But,
Mhm.
you know, even one day he didn't even know that I was in the club, you
Mhm.
know, and I'm sitting back watching him and women walking up to him and, you know, they offering to buy him a drink and he turned down all of it. You know, he's sitting there because he said I waiting on me to walk in the door, not knowing that I was already there. So, you know, I sat back and I watched him one day because I wanted to see, you know, you showing me, do you really?
Right.
You know, so I did. I sat back and watched. And I think after a couple of hours, I want to say it was like 2.5 hours or whatever, you know, after seeing him and watching it, I sashayed my little self out on the dance floor and I started dancing. He lit up like a Christmas tree, like there she go, you know. So I ain't think nothing. I was like, but the red flag was, where do you stay at? You
Mhm.
know, so I eventually kind of lost contact with him.
Mhm.
Then when I went back to the club, because I had stopped going to clubs, so when I went back to the club and I saw him, we connected again, and you know, he came over to the house and he wanted to pick up as usual, and I was like,
Mhm. Mm-mm.
it ain't the same. At this time when we, you know, connected back again, I was in my own place. I wasn't with my husband then.
Okay. Right. Mhm. I have another question. I'm thinking on that. This is after before you got in. I just want to know what kind of look did the social worker give you when you came back, when you seen that place that was like, ugh, you know, they had the roach in the door that couldn't.
Oh, like,
What kind of
first
look
of
did she
all,
give you? I'm like, she gave you a look. What kind of look?
girl, first of all, we get to the place, and
Uh-huh.
I get to the place, and I was like, you know, I'm looking at the outside, looking at the surroundings. It had a deck and everything, and I was like, uh, you know, your first, you know, that first impression, that first look, that impression.
Mhm.
So when dude could get the door open, I was like, hell no, this is not it. No, his shoulder, everything pushing on the door. And I'm like, here, this big old man can't get this door open because the painters have painted the door shut. I was like, oh hell no, you you can't get the door open, but you want this ain't it. So we walked in, and at that time, y'all, I didn't know about mice droppers. So
Oh wow.
I didn't know about mice droppers. So I didn't know, you know, the difference with mice droppers and, you know, roaches and things like that. All I know is once he bust that door open and I started seeing little roaches, I said, oh, wait, hold on. We ain't gotta go no further. You know, this is not it. You know, I thank you and I appreciate you. I'm gonna go on back down here and I'm gonna let her
Mhm.
know that this is not, yeah. So when I went back, I said, listen. I said, I appreciate you so much and I thank you. I said, but dude, can I get the door open? He had to open the door, you know, forcefully because the painters had painted it and shed it. I said, and then when I walk in, I said, I'm looking at roaches all over the place. I said, I can't do it. I said, and I forgot the script that I gave her, but I was like, is there another unit? I will wait for another unit.
Right.
So she sent me back.
Mhm.
And I don't know what she said to them. But whatever she said to them, baby, the unit that I got was top notch. I didn't have no one roach. I ain't have no mice. I ain't have to worry about no issues. I was in a hen unit. I promise you. And I had a little older lady that was next. It was like 4 units on that
Mhm.
one in that one strip. 4 units.
Mhm.
We ain't had no roaches. We ain't had no mice. I ain't had no. The only thing I had was a big old cockroaches that was outside, but I never saw one in the house.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't know what she told them. But baby, whatever she told them, the apartment that I got, I was like, okay, y'all, we got a place to stay. Come on. I was even comfortable sleeping on the floor. That's just how, that's just how it was. Yeah. That's just how it was. I ain't have to worry about no roads.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. So yeah, but baby, when that man went to, I was like, I said, what the hell? You ain't oh, this ain't, baby, we got as far as the kitchen. Nah, I was like, I said, nah, this one ain't, this ain't it. I
So
ain't
that
trying to
was
be
when you
bougie.
first walked into the house that happened. Oh wow.
I ain't trying to be bougie, but this ain't it.
They greeted you like welcome.
They said, hey girl, we like, oh, y'all ain't waiting on me. Nah, that was, but like I say, I don't know what was said. When I went back to, and it was the same housing project. I believe it was the same housing project, but when I went back, it was a completely different unit. It was
You stated in your book, I wanted to just add some more things that I saw in the book that stood out to me. You stated that you learned that when you have too many men around your children, especially a male child, you will lose respect for your children. So I wanted you to elaborate a little more on that, because there are so many young parents and women that do have boyfriends and whoever they're dating, bring them around their children. So can you just elaborate more on that?
It's not that you will lose respect for your children will lose respect for you, especially that male child. And the reason being is they see so many men coming in. It's like, what is this? What are you doing? And some of them will even go as far as, man, is she a whore? Why am I looking at so many men? So sometimes the male child can have a conception of, oh, my mama doing all of these men, and then they'll lose respect for you. So I have gotten to the point where I don't entertain male company in the house, especially if my male son is here. Now I have two boys and one girl, so even with, my oldest son, when he was coming up, my oldest son didn't see another man outside of his father until I got ready to get married. When I got ready to get married, then that's when he did the fool, because he wanted his father in the picture. And his father and I sat down and explained to him that it ain't happening, so we're going to move forward and move on. But it is so important, for us as women, especially when we got these girls. I don't know if you all see the news and everything about, the men having sex with the girlfriend's daughter, or, that type thing, or the wife's daughter. And then the wife will sometimes blame the daughter, you walking around him and you doing this and you taunting him and all this other kind of stuff, So it's important for us to know the relationships that we're in, the relationships that we're building, and how to be careful with leaving our children with these different men, as well as bringing them around our children. So I tell the young girls all the time, be careful of the men that you have around your children. You have to be careful with that.
Yeah, definitely. I wanted to go a little bit further. You stated that when you got your house, now you're in your Section 8 house, right? And you stated that Anthony started the washing machine, okay? And all this water just come from everywhere. Your apartment is messed up. The neighbor apartment messed up. My question is, do you think he did that on purpose? Or he on some old hating type shit? You like, you got your stuff, you ain't with me no more. What you think? I mean, how do you think?
No.
What's your take on it?
I went to the club and I saw Anthony at the club. So Anthony thought that I was there with another man. So when I left the club, he came over to the house. So his thing was, can I wash these clothes? You know, so he put the clothes in the machine. Of course, you know, we upstairs. We don't went to sleep. I ain't think nothing about it. He left out going to work. You know, the clothes still in the machine. But I didn't get up, you know, until I think one of my kids went down and stepped in the water. And then I got up and I went down and saw what was going on, what was happening. Um, the neighbor, the water went as far as the neighbor next door. It didn't go all the way down to the third unit because remember it's 4 units in this block. So it went just next door and you know soaked up her carpet. So her carpet was probably what stopped all of the water. So I opened the door. It wasn't much, you know, it was, you know, just enough to come up to the ankle. So, you know, water went on out, you know, and I helped squeegee it out. But his thing was he wanted to leave some articles there in case it was another man, you know, in the picture, because that jealousy got to him, you
Marking the
know.
territory.
So yeah. So, you know, if a man see my laundry here, this, that, or whatever, you know, he'll know I'm in the, you know, that type thing. So he didn't do it on purpose. You know, it was you know, I don't know, sink stopped up. I can't remember what happened, but it wasn't something that he did on purpose.
Okay, I was just wondering about that.
Yeah.
um, and moving a little further along, you started to have a life of home ownership. You got off Section 8. You said, hey, okay, let me get my credit together. Let me do this, whatever the case may be. So let's talk about that.
So let me back up a little bit. When I got to Section 8, I was still in Alabama and I started looking for housing in Alabama. Everything that I found was shotgun houses.
Mm.
Okay, if y'all know what a shotgun house is, everything that I found was shotgun houses.
No, what is that? Please explain.
Okay, shotgun houses is a house you can look straight through. Okay, you got a room on this side and a room on this side, but everything else you can see straight through. You can see, you know, you
All the
got
way to the back door.
there you go. That's the shot.
You ain't
That's
even
the
front.
shotgun.
Go to the back.
Yeah.
You see Your Honor, the movie Your Honor. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's one of those times. So that was all I was able to, you know, find. It was easy to kick in the front door and super easy to kick in the back door. That was the only thing that I could find. I didn't know anything about, you know, looking at these different apartment buildings or, you know, looking elsewhere. I didn't know anything about that and nobody taught me. So what I did was I ported my Section 8 certificate back home. So with me pouring my Section 8 certificate back home, I rented a 16-foot Ryder truck and I had a car carrier, you know, on the back. And the Travelers Aid Society actually helped me to come back home. So I went to them, I gave them my story. So they gave me money to help me buy the U-Haul and to get back home. So here I am on the road with my kids, this U-Haul, this car, and all this other kind of stuff with my Section 8 certificate. Get home, put my stuff in storage, you know, dropped off the U-Haul truck, staying with my parents. So now I'm looking for an apartment. So I get, you know, I'm, you know, looking around and I went to this one apartment and the hinges is on the outside. I said, no, nah, this ain't what I want because anybody can come in my apartment while I'm in his sleep. And this was in Harvey. So then I turned around and I started checking, you know, different little areas. So it eventually ended up where I stayed with my grandfather. No, that was after I had to move out. I found an apartment on Winchester. So once I found that apartment on Winchester, yeah, it was ideal. My front view was the real yard, so I didn't have to worry about anything. However, the back door was always open downstairs. It was supposed to be a secure building. So that was the first Section 8 apartment I had. Roomy, I mean, nice roomy bedroom, 2 bedroom, nice kitchen, everything. I changed the locks. The landlord got jealous. The landlord broke off toothpicks in my car. So I couldn't get in the car. He felt like he couldn't get in my apartment. I couldn't get in my car. But I crawled in the hatch. I would open the hatch, crawl in the hatch, get in the car, drive my car. Missed nothing. So yeah, that was that. So then when that happened, and when he couldn't get in my apartment, I had to move out of that. and then turned around and I moved in with my granddaddy. So when I moved in with my granddaddy had this girlfriend, and the girlfriend had this apartment that she was staying in. So she talked to the landlord about me staying in the apartment. So at that point, I was like, okay, so I got my Section 8 certificate. The landlord let me move in, and we worked out my deposit and everything. And I stayed in that apartment for, I want to say, 30 days with no furniture, because I wanted to make sure she got her money, because she trusted me enough on the word of my granddaddy girlfriend. So I stayed in there. We slept on the floor. My granddaddy made sure we ate every day. They made sure we ate. And I'm going to work. I'm working at Blue Cross Blue Shield at this time. So I'm, going downtown. I'm making $9.83 an hour, still paying my rent, still, Section 8 taking care of me and all this other kind of stuff. Now I'm able to buy stuff. Now I'm able to get my stuff out of storage. Now I'm able to, do what I need to do. So it got to a point where I said, okay, my kids are getting older. Now I want a home for them to grow up in. So I started, doing what is called goals. I started putting everything in paper. I started writing out a plan as to what I wanted to do. After so long, I want to do this, I want to do that. I was able to buy different little cars, start building up my credit, start cleaning up my credit, start knocking off all of that negative stuff. So once I started doing that, hey, I got enough to buy a house, and I got the credit that I need to buy the house. So, it took a lot of sacrifice for me, to do that, but I was determined to do it. So I got with a realtor. Then the realtor started taking me around looking at different houses, and I saw a couple that was nice. But once I got to this one, and then I saw it, I was like, whoa, this is a big house. It was a 2-unit. And I was like, I don't want nobody upstairs, so I can give the kids the whole upstairs. I just need to take the kitchen out, because it had 2 kitchens and it had 2 of everything. So at that point, I said, okay, so what is the price on this one? It was in the right price range, because at first the seller didn't know how to price it, because of, the type of neighborhood it was in or whatever, didn't know how to price it. So what I ended up getting it for a steal, because right after I bought my house, everybody went up to like 175, 200,000. So here I am sitting with, a mortgage note that I can afford. And I was like, wow, I did this, So it took a lot of discipline in order for me to have what I want, but I made sure I had my beans first. I had my fur coat. Okay, so now that's out the way. So let me go and get this house to go with everything else. So, since then, I done had 3 Benzes, a Porsche. I'm still in the house, and it was discipline, for me. And once I learned that I can do it, that's when I start putting everything in place, and I start making a plan. And once I make that plan, put it out, check it off. And yeah, so I just found it, to be easy to make that plan and work.
Yeah, I think it's such a success story because you see so many people that just kind of get complacent and just stay on Section 8, never get off, never want to, you know what I mean? Like
I
they just
wanted
get
more.
there and get comfortable,
I
So
wanted
that's why
more.
I wanted you to share your story, because you said, hey, I'm doing better now. I'm making more money. I'm sufficient to be living alone and taking care of my kids. I don't need the support system no more.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you did it for a short while temporarily,
Mhm.
so most people don't have that vision of ever getting off, so I just wanted to share that to kind of motivate people or
One
whatever the
of the
case may
things
be.
that motivated me is because I used to do payroll for the teachers when I first started out in CPS. And I used to look at these $2,000 checks. I was like, "Ooh, I want a check like that. Ooh, what I got to do to get a check like this?" I was like, "Nah, I don't want to be no teacher, but I want a check like this." So I started working. And like I said, when I started, I was $9.83 at Blue Cross. And once I switched over to CPS, I went from $9.83 an hour to $11.65 an hour. So that was a nice little jump for me. So I was like, oh, I got some money. So my check started looking bigger. So after, I want to say about, 5, 6 years, my checks started climbing. So now here I am, $1,500, $1,600, $1,700 a check. I was like, oh, I'm almost at the 2,000. I'm almost at the 2,000. So once I hit that 2,000, I was like, man, my check 2,000 a month. I mean 2,000 a week. I can do this. I can do this. I mean, every 2 weeks my checks would be, so I was like $4,000 a month. I was like, oh, I can do this. I can do this. I was paying my bills. I was taking care of stuff. I was buying stuff. Then it got to the point where, okay, now my check's $5,000 a month. And when they say the more you make, the more you spend, they ain't never lied. They ain't never lied. Because I was like, at one point, I had one check that can pay all of my bills, and my second check was my play money. My second check was what I was giving away. And when I say what I was giving away, I was buying stuff for people. I was, giving little trinkets away. I was giving out gifts. I was doing, that was when I was doing, you know, more charity work. Like, I would, they'll say, okay, we need 50 hats or 50 glove sets or this, that, or whatever. I'm the one that's going out buying the 50 hat and glove sets. You know what I'm saying? So, that's when somebody was like, you had a lot of disposable income. I said, no, I don't, because that was bills. I considered, helping the homeless or the charity. That was a bill for me. So, it was easy for me to do, $500 here, $500 there, something like that. So, but now since I bought this Porsche, no, that ain't no play money no more.
Just like you need all your coins now.
All my coins now. I can spend $200, but nah, this Porsche, I gotta, yeah. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
hear that.
So I have a question on that. So when you went to the dealership, what were they trying to put you in? When you was like, oh,
First of all, I went to the dealership wrong.
okay.
I went to the dealership wrong. I went to the dealership. I had my hopes set on this Mercedes that I had got pre-approved for on, I want to say Thursday, but I said I will go and pick it up on Saturday. They sold it Friday night. So when I went to the dealership on Saturday, I went wrong because, I was like, I told my boys, I said, y'all, let's go for a ride to go look at this Mercedes because I was already pre-approved for it. Went in there with my mink jacket on and, just all this jewelry. I was like, they was like, oh, here she come. I was like, so again, I went in because I was pre-approved for this Benz truck because that was what I wanted, the Benz truck, and got there and gave them my license. I knew my credit was good. I knew my money was good. I had, was ready for whatever they asked me for. So when it came back, oh, we sold the Benz last night. Oh, okay. Well, you get my license. I can go home. Well, we got this Porsche out here. What's a Porsche? I don't want no Porsche. And I promise y'all, I told her I do not want no Porsche. I didn't come in here for no Porsche. I don't know nothing about no Porsche. All I know is it's a Porsche. No, where my Benz at? I want a Benz truck. That's what I came in here for. So I went back and forth with them. They was like, this lady, and they kept on. I said, nope, don't come back. Don't come back with no figures. I'm not paying no $700-$800 car note. I'm not doing that because I still got to get insurance on it. Plus, I got to do is no, I don't. So by the time I got through with them, they gave me what I wanted at the price I wanted. On top of my insurance was less than $200, and then turned around and find out they wanted that sale so bad that they lowered the price to sell that car because that would have been the third sale of the day, and we at 8 o'clock at night. So that's how I ended up. That's how I ended up getting that Porsche with what I wanted, how I wanted, and the conditions and terms I wanted.
Okay, so that's the key.
They made the down payment. I had to make no down, and they made the down payment.
The key, go at night.
Yeah, because it was like 4 o'clock in the evening. Yeah, they did. I ain't had to come out of pocket with nothing. But I drove the car off the lot, yeah, with all my terms and conditions. Yep. So I said, if that wasn't a blessing, I don't know what was. Yeah.
That is your baby today, I'm sure.
in the beans though, 'cause, I still got both of the beans is in the Porsche, yeah. So, but I'm still in the beans. I'm the Benz woman. Just call me the Benz because it took me a minute to drive the Porsche. It took me a minute that I actually got a Porsche in my garage. What am I gonna do with this? So it took a minute for it to grow on me. It took a minute. Everybody else was fascinated and excited about it. I was like, okay. It did. It took a minute for it to grow on me. Yeah, but I was like, Benz truck. I would have been like, yeah, I got the Benz truck. I know. I would have been stanky with the Benz truck, but the Porsche, I wasn't. I was just like, it's just like a Toyota, Camry, yeah. It took a minute for it to grow up. Yeah,
Yeah.
but that Benz
Yeah.
truck, yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, so we're going to wrap it up today. I just want to say, Sheila, thank you again for taking time out and telling your story, because it took a lot of courage. In just, writing your book, it means a lot. And I'm glad we finally read it. I've had it for a while and I said, hey, it's time to put her on here so she can tell her story to everybody. Okay. And hopefully everybody go out and get this book. Okay. Everybody go out and get this book from homeless to home ownership. And Yolanda, pull up your book. So I hold it up. So you got your book. Thank you. So people can see From Homeless to Homeowner While Surviving Toxic Relationships, again by Sheila Sterling. She ended her book with Yolanda, when you hold it up, make sure you say something because it's probably gonna be on me. So take your thing on mute.
Okay, here's the book.
Okay,
right here.
thank you.
All right.
Again,
Go back.
From Homeless to Homeowner While Surviving Toxic Relationships from Sheila D. Sterling. Please go out and get it if you have not read it yet. Support our Black sister. Hello.
Right.
Okay. She also ended the book with a very critical question, and leaving something on your mind to think about. And the question was, what is your dream and goals, and what are you doing to achieve it? All right, so we'll keep you with that and let you marinate on that question and figure out what you need to do in your life, okay, and everybody else's, and then even in our own personal life, because we continuously have goals. Goals don't stop just because you made it here. Okay, what's next? What's next? What's next? So like I say again, thank you, Sheila, for taking time out, and that will end our discussion today.
Well, I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
First of all, I want to say thank you. I want to thank you so much for the opportunity. I see Yolanda has the book. Tamara, Diane, do you all have the book?
You got to come off mute.
No, I don't have the book. I usually do audio, but I know like when we bring in the authors on it, most of them don't do audio, so I have to. But I didn't even know all that. I'm just thinking you're gonna talk about, I didn't even know this all was in the book. So I'm like, oh yeah, I got to get this book. So yeah.
Tamara, do you have the book?
She may have stepped away.
Okay. And the reason why I asked, because with the book comes a CD. And yeah, so if
that's what I was looking for all the time. You got a CD, okay?
But no. This is a CD. This is a song.
Oh,
Actually sing. This is not the audio of the book.
Okay.
This song, I Will Not Look Back. So the song was made to go with the book. Okay. But
nice.
I have not done the audio of the book. I was working on that. But the person that I was working with kind of, fell by the wayside. Tamara, do you have the book? You're still on mute.
You have to take it off mute.
I'm sorry. I was pressing the wrong button. I do not have it yet, but I am going to get it. I enjoyed today, and I had told Tanisha I've had a lot going on with my family lately. We've been dealing with a lot of illness and things of that nature, but I am going to get it because I just want to read it, even though I heard you guys today. But just hearing you guys and hearing you speak of it, I was like, this sounds good.
We'll be
It's an easy read. It's interesting.
It is. I enjoyed reading it. Look, I'm from Detroit originally, but every time I see something from Chicago, I'll be like, oh, because I was in Chicago. But listening to you tell the story, it reminded me of someone that I knew and his ways, because he had so many women and he drove around in a little red. One of his women had a little red car. I was like, this can't be him. His name was Anthony. When I say it was identical, he used to go to the clubs, do all kind of stuff. And I said I was dating his brother, but he had so many girlfriends. It was just unbelievable. And I was like, how did they not know? And some of them were, how can I say, like the one who was standing there waiting. And when y'all drove by, some of them are accepting that they are the second place woman. They accept it. So it was like, So, but I enjoyed reading it.
Thank you. But I want to make sure that you all get a copy of this. So I'll make sure that
So how do we get our copy?
I'm gonna make sure that I get it to Tanisha so that
Okay,
you
then.
get the copy.
All
in
right.
addition to, I was gonna do first in, a first here. I have what is called a trip voucher. It's for 3 days and 2 nights.
Oh God.
So because it is 1, 2, 3, 4 of you all here, I have 4. So
Oh wow. Thank you.
each one of you all will get a voucher for a 3-day, 2-night trip. And then these are all the locations where you can take your trip. You just have to pay the taxes on the trip. And for more than
thank you.
yeah,
Oh my gosh. Thank you,
taxes is like $75 to $126 or something like that. Yeah. So you all would get a voucher for this, and you all would get a copy of the CD that goes along with the book.
All right,
Thank
thank you.
you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Now the
you.
ones,
That is
now the
so,
ones that
well,
did
that's
not
why
show
you've
up
been
today,
blessed. Blessed people get blessed.
Blessed
blessed.
people
Yes,
get
that's
all
why.
the time.
What did I say? I'm a giver. Didn't I say that?
Yes, give
Okay.
good getters are great givers. That's
So
something
yes.
like that.
So
Yes.
you have a year.
Thank
You have a
you.
year to redeem this.
Thank
Okay.
you so
Have a
much.
year to make sure that Tanisha gets this, and hey, hopefully we can all get together and
Right.
and go somewhere with this. Yeah,
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that would be nice. A girls' trip.
Yeah.
Hello.
exactly. This is with books trip.
Yes. I love
So,
it.
for the ones that did not show up today, they are going to be excited they missed out on the trip.
Yes. And I thank you so much, Sheila, for that. I really appreciate it. I'm sure we all do. I wanted to also let them know that you are a part of our book club. You're on our Facebook page. I'm not sure if you subscribe to the YouTube channel or not yet, but she is a part of our group. She just is not active because she's so busy.
Understood.
But hopefully at some point she will come on and start to be a little more active with our club.
Yeah.
All right. So other than that, thank you again.
I'm excited. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. All right. So like I said, everyone have a great weekend. Have a great day. It's Sunday. So hey, we got a trip to plan.
I know. I'm excited now. Thank you so much.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Happy holidays to everybody.
Oh, same to
Thank
you.
God bless you all
you.
too.
Happy
Take care.
holidays.
Bye,
Have a
guys.
good one, everybody.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.